Insight gained in the cracks of daily life, expanding perspectives for professionals and cultivating practical awareness. 1. Reflection beginning with a single button. A young planner was assigned his first task, adding a single button to an admin menu. Handing a simple rectangle box and text on a PowerPoint to a developer, he proudly said, "This is the request document." The word planner embarrassed him, as he felt he wasn't a true planner. His humility turned out to be an unnecessary self-defense later. The developer had 5 years of experience and filled in any missing details on his own. The planner mistakenly assumed the developer trusted him, but in reality, the developer had merely proceeded to make things easier for himself. Testing was simple. Pressing the button popped up a window and saved the data. When the planner asked the developer to deploy the fix, the developer nodded. The next day, the customer service department reported an issue: existing data had disappeared. The planner asked the developer, "Didn't you even consider this situation?" The developer's response shocked him: it wasn't in the specification document. From then, endless modifications began. Every time an exception case was added, another exception arose. The team leader repeatedly asked, "Why couldn't you think through this in the beginning?" The planner could not answer, and this failure changed his image into someone who couldn't even complete a simple task. This experience was not a mere technical error. Rather, it revealed the limits of human perception and judgment. The planner failed to grasp the relationship between the problem and its surrounding context due to a limited vision, ultimately losing trust within the organization. This article uses this case as a starting point to help professionals gain deep insight amidst daily routines and cultivate practical awareness. Simultaneously, it explores how humans can recognize and control their own ignorance. 2. The structure of ignorance: human instinct that limits vision. The planner's failure was not merely due to inadequate preparation. He missed the core issue. Adding a button involved complex elements like the entire back-office system structure, user registration, permission management, and log integration. This stems from human cognitive structure. We instinctively focus only on immediate outcomes, such as a pop-up appearing after pressing a button, while neglecting the underlying system. This ignorance is common in daily life. For example, when planning a project, one might emphasize only the implementation of features without considering team members' abilities and psychological states, or transfer client requirements directly to developers without analyzing them. Ignorance is not simply a lack of knowledge, but a problem concerning the way humans perceive. Often, humans are influenced by factors they fail to recognize. In this case, the planner passed off the specification document to the developer without understanding the system's structure, the root cause of the problem. The mistakes that followed were not isolated incidents, but the result of ignorance embedded in human cognitive structures. 3. The flow of desire: human psychology that sustains problems. When the problem arose, the planner compulsively pushed for endless modifications. However, each change caused new issues, which eventually made superiors lose trust in him. This phenomenon reveals another aspect of human psychology. When we become obsessed with solving a problem, we often overlook the secondary damage caused during the solution process. The simple desire to add a button blinded him to the system's complexity and users' unexpected reactions. Desire is an instinctive human force, yet it can be destructive. The stronger the planner's desire to solve the problem, the more he focused on short-term fixes rather than understanding the problem's essence. The developer did not take responsibility for unspecified issues, while the planner had to bear the blame. This is an example of how desire fragments responsibility between people. Desire is not just an individual yearning, it is a force flowing within organizations. If this flow is unrecognized, entire systems become filled with uncertainty and confusion. 4. Tracing the roots: dependent origination. The Buddhist concept of dependent origination explains the nature of the physical world. Everything is connected and does not exist independently. In the planner's case, adding a single button was not a simple task. It was entangled with multiple elements like user data, system logic, and teamwork. The planner failed to recognize these connections and consequently caused endless problems. This concept provides important insights for professionals. We often look for solutions by viewing problems as single factors, but actual problems arise from interactions between interconnected elements. For example, project delays may seem to stem from poor scheduling, but they could also relate to team members' emotional states, a leader's decision-making style, or external environmental changes. Recognizing dependent origination allows us to move beyond single solution fixation and analyze problems within their structural context. 5. Expanding vision, seeing the before and after relationships. The planner's failure originated from a limited vision. He could not grasp the cause-effect relationships of the problem, and thus lost the organization's trust. Expanding vision requires not merely looking at surface-level issues, but understanding the underlying structure and connections. This is not a matter of technical problem-solving, but a fundamental shift in how humans perceive. Professionals are prone to view their work as ending when their own tasks are done. However, all tasks exist within the broader flow of the organization. For example, when a marketing team plans a new campaign, they should not simply increase the advertising budget. They should consider collaboration with the product and development departments, the customer feedback system, and the strategies of competitors. Expanding vision allows us to move beyond isolated problems and understand the overall organizational flow. 6. Practical awareness, actionable insight in daily life. These insights must be transformed into practical awareness. Professionals can expand their vision and solve problems through the following methods. 1. Visualizing the structure of problems instead of describing problems merely through text. Use system diagrams or flowcharts to visualize structures. For instance, when adding a button, visualizing data flow, user permissions, and test scenarios allows one to understand the cause-effect relationships. 2. Predicting by recognizing dependent origination. When a problem appears to stem from a single factor, imagine and predict the hidden connections. For example, when a project is delayed, consider emotional states of team members and external environmental changes, not just scheduling issues. 3. Decision-making that controls desire. While desire drives problem-solving, excessive desire can cause confusion. When making decisions, ask, what long-term impact will this decision have on the organization, to control short-term desires. 4. Learning through awareness of ignorance. Failure results from ignorance, but it should become a learning opportunity. When problems occur, analyze not just the cause, but the areas where you were ignorant, and plan how to expand your vision next time. 7. A new perspective, beginning with insight. The planner's experience was not a simple mistake. It revealed the limits of human perception and judgment. He failed to solve the problem due to his limited vision and lost the organization's trust. However, this failure marked the beginning of insight. By recognizing ignorance and desire and understanding dependent origination, professionals can view problems with a broader perspective. This insight is not a technical solution but a form of self-awareness that changes how humans think. In daily life, we often focus on fragmented phenomena, but to truly understand the essence of problems, we must grasp their structural contexts and connections. This provides professionals with the power to expand their vision and achieve sustained growth within organizations. When insight becomes practical awareness, genuine growth is possible even in the cracks of daily life.